You're listening to the Telltale Channel. In this podcast, Mike Lindell showed up to the Democratic National Convention in disguise. His disguise was shaving his mustache and putting on sunglasses. While he was there, he decided to debate a 12-year-old on election fraud. The 12-year-old won, by the way. Trump prophet Julie Green has a new prophecy for us. She lays it out for us while wearing an orange spray tan like her dear leader, Agent Orange. Why do people do this? Anyway, she says that God told her that the Democratic Party is a hot mess, and Biden and Harris are about to have a falling out. Any 5 minutes now. Kandiss Taylor, Georgia governor candidate, says the line in the Constitution about freedom of religion is really about Christians' freedom of religion. She says it doesn't cover Muslims or Buddhists or any other religion, just Christianity. She was never the brightest bulb in the box, though. Since we're talking about it, I found a parody clip about her arguing that the earth is flat. It's pretty funny. We also take voicemails. If you want to leave a voicemail, the number is 1-800-701-8573. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally.
There's a guy named Ryan Walters, dude pictured on screen here. He's the superintendent of Oklahoma schools, over all of Oklahoma schools. And he's been cramming the Bible down everybody's throats like it's nobody's business. It's ridiculous. He's instructed teachers to use the Bible as instructional material, like teach kids the Bible in the classroom. I don't know what class I get all classes is what he intended, like math class. I don't know. Like 7 Israelites attack, the Canaanites, and 12 Canaanites die. How many people do you have? I don't know how you would use the Bible for math. Anyway, Hemant Mehta from the Friendly Atheist blog wrote an article about him. There are some updates. So I want to give this a read, see what it says. This article came out August 22nd, 2024. Even Oklahoma Republicans are getting fed up with Ryan Walters. He's on the road to impeachment right now. By now, you're probably well aware of all the ways Oklahoma's superintendent of public instruction, Ryan Walters, is trying to inject Christian nationalism into public schools. This is the guy who wants to force teachers to make the Bible part of their curriculum, backed a taxpayer-funded Catholic charter school, which Oklahoma Supreme Court later decided is illegal, tried to put Christian chaplains in public schools, tried to mandate displays of the Ten Commandments in public schools, and more. There's more. I've covered him a lot, so if you're curious, just search Ryan Walters in my YouTube channel. He also approved the use of PragerU materials in classrooms, claimed the Tulsa race massacre had nothing to do with race, falsely insisted that President Joe Biden wants to destroy our Christian faith. God, I remember all of these videos. Yeah, he did say all of this. Formed a faith committee to examine prayer in public schools, appointed the troll who runs Libs of TikTok to a statewide library advisory. Oh my God. Yeah, the advisory board. I remember that too. Holy Christ. And sent out a sample prayer for teachers to use for the people of Israel, and definitely not the innocent people living in Gaza. I didn't know about the sample prayer. Let me see. Yeah, apparently this is the document right here. Let's see. District administrators and teachers, Ryan Walters, State Superintendent, Public Instruction, October 11th, 2023. A moment of silence and prayer for Israel. Tomorrow, October 12th, all schools are encouraged to have a moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in any other silent activity to show our support for Israel. This is political. Why are they doing this in schools? What does this have to do with anything? All Oklahomans stand with Israel. Well, that's just factually wrong. And we stand against the vicious attacks. Israel has been a strong ally of the U.S., and we should support the members of the Jewish nation as they are being targeted by extremist Islamic terrorists. Sample prayer for those who pray. Let us offer a prayer for safety and peace for the people of Israel. We pray that violence against the Jewish nation would stop and that a time of healing occurs for those lost. We pray for our leaders to stand strong and defend any attacks against the Israeli people. So at this moment in time, October 7th is when the attack happened originally, and everybody was really distraught and broken up about that. That's really sad what happened to Israel, for real. And I'm so sorry for the people that were taken. It's gutting. But by the time he released this, October 11th, October 12th, Israel had already effectively committed war crimes on Gaza. Gaza doesn't have control of their own power and water. Israel cut those things off. Israel walls Gaza into the world's largest open-air concentration camp. They can't leave. And what's more, I forget what number, is it like 50% or something are under 18. They're all very young. Israel is killing kids in Gaza. And that this is happening when he sent this. You can stand for Israel. You can say they have a right to defend themselves. You can whatever. But you must acknowledge, seems to me, that there's some ugly happening right now, right? And in this letter, he's like supporting Israel against Islamic terrorists, like creating a black and white scenario. It's just sad, man. Just wrong. Anyway, he sent out a sample prayer for teachers to use for the people of Israel, and definitely not the innocent people living in Gaza. As he was doing everything in his power to destroy public education in his state, his Republican colleagues rarely had a word of criticism about his actions. They weren't about to criticize a self-appointed leader of the MAGA faithful in ruby red state. I don't think any Republican leaders, like congressmen or anything, have said a single negative word about him or what he's doing. Last week, more than 24 Republican state legislators sent a letter to House Speaker Charles McCall urging him to investigate Walters, a step which could potentially result in Walters' impeachment. That's a big deal. This is about 10 months after that prayer for Israel, October 7th and all that. To be clear, they're not going after his Christian nationalist antics. They are apparently fine with all that, but these allegations are no less important. Interesting. The letter from State Representative Mark McBride, chair of the House Subcommittee on Education, highlighted a number of specific concerns he had about Walters' behavior. 1. Walters wouldn't allow a member of his committee or its Senate equivalent to witness executive sessions of the Board of Education. That violates state law, and it allegedly happened more than once. Disappointing. State Board of Education denies 3 lawmakers attendance in executive session. Interesting. Number 2, here's a second reason for impeachment. Walters refused to answer, or answered only with significant delays, the 2 education committees' inquiries, to the point where the legislature had to issue 2 subpoenas to force his responses. That played into the next issue. Number 3. Walters failed to follow orders regarding how public money could be spent when it came to school security. After the mass attack in Uvalde, Texas, Oklahoma lawmakers passed a bill giving schools $150 million for security enhancements. Wow. Okay, that's fantastic. Schools got $150 million. I didn't know that. That amounted to roughly $96,000 per year for 3 years for every district in the state. The understanding was that if districts didn't use the money in year 1, it would roll over into year 2, which some superintendents opted to do so they could make improvements that cost more money. But they soon discovered that Walters wouldn't give them access to unspent dollars from the previous year. Wow, that is really messed up. In other words, Walters was defying a law because he felt like it, then slow-playing responses to any questions about why he was doing it. This is actually straight out of the Project 2025 playbook. I have a collection of PowerPoint slides from their videos. Have confidence in your legal authority to act. Become a jailhouse lawyer. Know the law regarding your agency. Study the legal authorities of your position. Always check the law being referenced by a career federal employee, especially if you're being told you cannot do something. Always ask questions and get a second opinion. There's no substitute for knowing the law yourself. Have a lawyer on staff who's a political appointee. There are a number of others, but the bottom line with the Project 2025 instructions is act now, ask questions later. If you got to deal with a lawsuit or whatever, we'll deal with it when that time comes, but more than likely you're not going to have to. That's why Donald Trump keeps using music he's not entitled to use. Celine Dion, Foo Fighters, Tom Petty. I think he used Nickelback once. Keeps playing their songs at his rallies and stuff, and they keep suing him, but it never amounts to anything. Nobody ever gets anything. Trump never faces consequences, so he just keeps doing it. That's the same situation with Ryan Walters. He knows that he's basically untouchable. And if he is fired or impeached or whatever, he will have a slot on Fox News tomorrow. So he honestly doesn't seem to care what happens to his political career. He's going to be filthy rich and he's going to be a propagandist anyway. Number 4. Here's a 4th reason why Walters might be impeached. Walters refused to hand over information about how he was spending taxpayer dollars for his office's travel budget. Reporters, McBride wrote, were getting more information about how Walters was spending his money than members of the legislature. KFOR News 4 also said that there were discrepancies between what they found through their investigation and the information eventually handed by Walters to McBride. Oh boy, that's not good. Again, the dude is untouchable and he knows it. You guys may remember, what's his name? Texas State Attorney General Ken Paxton. He is about as corrupt as they come. He took bribes and stuff. He got drunk as and walked out on the House floor and gave, some kind of a speech or whatever, drunk as just gone, slurring his words, tripping over himself, the whole 9 yards. And the Republican legislature, filed articles of impeachment against him for all of the that he did. And he got Trump to endorse him and support him. And he weaponized MAGA supporters against the Republicans who voted for his impeachment. And they all capitulated. They backed off and said they voted against removing him from office after that point. Ryan Walters probably thinks he's going to be able to do the same thing if anybody tries to impeach him, and he might be right. Walters wouldn't fulfill open records requests in a timely manner. This is number 5, why he might be impeached. That violates state law, and Attorney General Gentner Drummond threatened Walters with civil and criminal action over it. Unless there's good reason for a delay, requests are supposed to be fulfilled within 30 days. One reporter informed Drummond that he was still waiting for information requested 10 months earlier, and that no explanation for the delay was ever provided. Number 6 reason why he might be impeached. Walters refused to spend money that he was legally obligated to spend on asthma inhalers. Are you kidding me? In 2023, the state legislature passed a bill giving schools emergency albuterol inhalers and spacers so the inhalers could be used by multiple students, at a total cost of $250,000. Walters' office, however, never spent that money. The schools never received the inhalers. Lawmakers were stonewalled by Walters' office when they asked what the hell was going on, since the lack of equipment could literally put students in danger. That is insane, dude. I've been doing a lot of research into World War II lately and the kind of the political environment and eugenics and the religious landscape and everything, political landscape of the era. And I'm not saying anybody's like Hitler, okay? That's not where I'm going. But the political environment at the time was one in which Germans believed that if people were weak, if they were incapable of surviving certain extreme events, then they should just die, basically. And they put people through intense situations needlessly. Like if a soldier drops his clip during rifle training or whatever, he has to pick it up with his teeth. They send them out into the woods for 3 days with no food. But that doesn't help anything. That doesn't build endurance. They're suffering. They don't have enough. That makes things worse, actively worse, not better. And at the time, the way this all started was eugenics is like this concept where you wanted to create an ultimate race of people. And that meant weeding out the bad. So the government at the time, their goal or their strategy of accomplishing this was anytime a kid walks into a doctor's office, that doctor puts a plus sign or a minus sign on the kid's sheet, depending on whether the doctor thought that he was, quote-unquote, feeble-minded or weak in some way, deficient. If he puts a minus on it, then officials show up to the kid's house, tell the parents they're going to take him to, a summer camp, basically, where they're going to rehabilitate him and help him and teach him and so on, and he'll be back. And they just take him off to a concentration camp and gas him. That's how all this started. At the time, it was early on in the gassing process, so they were sticking people in vans and piping the exhaust into the van and locking it. That was their early strategy. And bizarrely, the doctors had quotas that they had to meet. They had to send 70 kids or whatever per month to these chambers. And if there just weren't 70 kids that were deficient, then you pick the ones that aren't deficient. whatever it takes. That's like the mindset that I'm seeing from Ryan Walters right now. Dude refused to buy inhalers for kids. Is he trying to like weed out the weak ones? What's the goal here? I don't understand. Why would he do that? What is he using that money for? Is it just sitting there? Why is he not spending money that's literally being given to him to spend? The only thing that I can come up with is that he wants to weed out the defective people. What else could it possibly be? Anyway, I just don't know, man. Tell me what you think about this in the comments. Like, is this guy going to be impeached? What is his goal? Why is he doing these things? Is he just like a colossal scumbag? Is he lazy and not doing his job? What is it? Anyway, tell me what you think. He won't spend the money due to the fact that it came from the federal government. Did it? I thought it was the state government. That could be, I suppose. It's like murder. Yeah, it is. It's like murder. Absolutely. Dude's refusing to get inhalers for kids. You know, statistically, how many kids are going to die? Not zero. What is it? 0.5%? How many kids are in the Oklahoma school system? 0.5% of kids die from not having an inhaler means somewhere around like thousands, maybe. Hell, if it's hundreds, if it's 50, if it's 10, that's too many. These are lives he could have saved. If it's 1, it's too many. Anyway, it's just wrong, man. I don't know what's going through this dude's head. Discussing how he's destroyed the school boards in his state also. He's destroyed everything for no reason. You know, like, I have this idea in my head of the ultimate Republican goals. Like, what if I had it on a sheet, what would they strive for? The most extreme things that they could possibly strive for. Government so small you can drown it in a bathtub, quote unquote, Grover Norquist. 0 taxes, 0 for anybody. God, I don't know, like, what other things would they reach for? Christianity in all the schools, like, they're all religious programs now. That's not what Republicans are fighting for at this immediate moment, obviously. They probably would if they could, but that's the ultimate goal, seems to me, right? Where does Ryan Walters fit this into the ideology, this not giving kids inhalers when they need them? How does that, like, plug into Republican, conservative, extremist ideology? I don't know where else it could plug in if not, like, picking off the weak ones. You know, one of the main reasons that eugenics was abandoned is not because of bodily autonomy, not because people should be able to make choices for their own bodies, but because it's impractical. It doesn't work that way. Like, you can't just, like, send kids who have asthma to gas chambers. That doesn't help anything. You think, what, is asthma, like, hereditary to you? Is that what this is? You think that if you kill all the asthmatic kids, there won't be asthma in the world anymore? You think that if you take out, like, feeble-minded kids, there won't be feeble-minded people anymore? Like, what? That's not how any of this works. And the scientist who originally worked on eugenics, like, in the very, very early days, it was at Columbia University. I'm writing about this in my book, The Church in Chains, How Hitler Exploited Faith to Gain Control. So I have this whole section on eugenics, and the guy was a zoologist who really started heavily working on eugenics. Thomas Hunt Morgan was his name. He was at Columbia University in New York City, and he chose to study fruit flies. He had fruit flies with long wings and short wings, fruit flies with, like, black eyes and white eyes and red eyes, big ones and little ones, all kinds of different fruit flies. And he was using the Punnett squares, you know, dominant and recessive and everything, to try to predict what he would get out of mating certain fruit flies or whatever. And he came to find that eugenics does not work that way. It's just way too complicated. It's just, the concepts are way too complex to put down on such a, like, a simple black and white ideology or ideal like that. It doesn't get you anywhere except for you're just killing people. You know, German soldiers were not any tougher than American soldiers because they had to pick up clips with their teeth. They weren't tougher because they had to wander in the woods for 3 days with no food. That's not how you build endurance. That's how you make somebody get sick and weaker. You don't eliminate asthma by killing all of the asthmatic kids. It's just not how it works. So anyway, I just don't know what else he could be reaching for here, truthfully. Tell me what you think in the comments. Before we listen, I just want to mention, got a voicemail from Tyler from Wisconsin. I don't know if that voicemail was intended to be played on air, so I'm not going to. But I don't get into my personal life really deeply, usually on air. Sometimes it kind of leaks through to some degree, and everybody's got some stressful shit going on in their lives. I've been clean for many years, and I've never really liked alcohol. It just hasn't really been my thing. But I don't know, like a month or a month and a half ago or something, I for the first time in a while, like I don't even remember. This has never happened to me to this degree. I got really fucked up. I don't, I'm disappointed that I did that. I don't feel like I really relapsed or fell off a wagon or anything, because I wasn't like doing a drug that I was addicted to or anything, not like mentally connected to, but generally it's like a bad thing to do that, especially having gone to school for substance abuse counseling and being clean for so long. It's just disappointing. But, stressful gets to you sometimes. Anyway, Tyler from Wisconsin left a message. And again, like I wanted to address it, but I didn't want to play it. He said that I need to read my arm. He said he kicked dope while listening to me and that I'm an inspiration. Appreciate that, Tyler. That means more than you know. For real. That's the... Anyway, yeah, you're 100% right. Just keep on keeping on. Do your best, don't worry about the rest, as they say, right? Anyway, yeah, I felt like I should at least give that a shout out, but I didn't want to like play it. All right. Yeah, Tyler deserved a shout out for that. I've been there. I've been trying to kick dope before too, and it was like unbearably painful. So, not even just physically, like when you're trying to get off of stuff like that, physically it sucks. It's terrible. It's like really bad, but mentally it just eats you up. The mental drain on you that it has is just completely out of control. It's so much. I'm lucky that I don't have to deal with dope sickness anymore like that. I mean, I still take Suboxone, but I don't have to worry about being sick from that. Anyway, it could be a lot worse for me. I could be dealing with withdrawals. I'm not. So anyway, glad I could help you with that. And glad you can help me with this. I figured Tyler deserved a shout out, right? Everyone's an individual. Some of us can do things here and there. Some of us never can again. Recognizing our limits is the important thing. 100% agree. Unfortunately, God, what was it? Substances. When I was in school, people used to say drugs are bad. They're terrible. They do all this terrible to you. They ruin your life and so on and so forth. And they show crazy pictures of meth heads with like sores all over their face and everything. Scare tactics, what it's called. Scare tactics don't work. Like statistically, we have the statistics. What was it? Just Say No, that Just Say No program that Nancy Reagan started. It's not that simple. You can't just like say no like that, obviously. But what do you do to all the people who already said yes? Anyway, people always talk about how bad drugs are, but they're not bad. That's the thing. They're good. They're too good. When you take them, you'll never be able to forget that feeling. It'll be in you forever, and you'll always want it from that moment forward. That's why I don't think that anybody should ever do any drugs, ever. You will try to attain that again for the rest of your life. That's how it works, called chasing the dragon. And it's not just a matter of ruining personal relationships or having money problems or whatever. Eminem was hooked on drugs. I talked about this recently too. Eminem has an unlimited amount of money. He can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. He could do, a pound of heroin a day if his body could handle it. But when he did do an unlimited number of drugs every day, he looked like this. He was a wreck. He wasn't eating. He wasn't paying attention to anything. He's falling asleep at random times. He's constantly f***ed up. And now he looks like this. There's a very clear difference. So it's not just about ruining your personal relationships or ruining your life or draining your bank account of money or whatever. It's not just about that. It's like it ruins your life in so many other ways, chasing it, trying to attain that again. Drugs are too good for people to do. You should never, ever. Don't even put it in your head. Don't even try it, because it'll never get out then. Anyway, thank you, Tyler from Wisconsin, for the voicemail.
Hey, Owen, what's up? My name is Alva. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. Love what you do. You got an awesome thing you got going on. But I wanted to say I'm a recent atheist, and my parents are very Christian. They're not MAGA. They're not MAGA Christian. They're on the cooler side of Christianity. So
That's a plus. Usually, if people aren't MAGA Christians, and they're a lot more moderate rather than like really, really deep into it, but not hateful.
Christianity. So I'm thankful for that. But I find it hard coming out to them that I am a recent atheist. I think it would break my mom's heart more than if I told her I was gay. I think I know my parents would fully accept me as being gay, and they would still accept me as being an atheist, but I think it would be more shocking if I told them I was an atheist. And they wouldn't shun me or kick me out of the family, but I think it definitely would break my mom's heart if I told her I was an atheist. So that's a good topic to ask other viewers, how they feel about coming out to Christian families as an atheist. Thanks. Have a good one, man.
Yeah, I appreciate the voicemail. It's an interesting question. If anybody has any advice or ideas or whatever, put it in the comments. I can tell you that, I don't talk to my mom, and I didn't talk to my dad for the last 10 years that he was alive. He died a couple years ago now. And my mom will go to the grave without me talking to her ever again. I don't have any family, like any, basically. I have a brother that I talk to like once a year, maybe. And I talk to my sister, to be fair. I talk to her reasonably often. But, when I was kicked out of my house for not being the perfect religious kid that I was supposed to be, I still believed all of it. When I was kicked out when I was 18, I had nothing. And I had to live with a family who took me in. And this family, they effectively adopted me, took care of me. And I call this woman my grandmother. She basically is, for all intents and purposes. She died a couple years ago too, Sue did, but she was one of the most religious people that I've ever known. And she had a gay sister and gay family members, and she didn't hate anybody for anything, ever. She knew that I was an atheist. She knew that I was a YouTuber. She knew all this stuff, and I would still sit there and talk to her like everything was fine. Like she was a moderate Christian, not an extremist. And I've found that a lot of the time, moderate Christians believe that if you are a good person, if you try to be a genuinely good person, God will see that and save you. That's kind of my interpretation of like what Jesus was trying to get at, I think. Although overall, I don't think that's what the Bible espouses. But either way, I appreciate that some people are like that. And you know what? Maybe your parents will feel that way. I mean, you know them best, so don't put yourself in like a dangerous situation or anything, obviously. But sometimes it works out reasonably well. Sometimes it does. So anybody who has any suggestions or ideas, put it in the comments. And thank you so much for the voicemail. Appreciate that. Also, I appreciate your other voicemail. I got that. But don't need to play it, so. You just believe in a different God. Your God is math and science. Yeah, I've heard that too. Whatever. Like my grandmother, she was ultra religious and also ultra accepting, but she still believed that the earth was only 6,000 years old, bizarrely, and that evolution was fake. It's like she was an evangelical without all of the hate. It's really weird. Maybe she's just an evangelical because of how she was raised, but that wasn't like hate wasn't in her, Maybe that's what it was. Next up, Mike Lindell showed up to the Democratic National Convention in disguise. His disguise was shaving his mustache and putting on sunglasses. While he was there, he decided to debate a 12-year-old on election fraud. The 12-year-old won, by the way. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally.
That judge last fall ruled. He ruled in your state. He said, we're going to look into this. We're bringing it to court. and the experts say there's problems. And she said, and if you question it, you're not a conspiracy theorist. So I got to take off my tinfoil hat. Now, guess this, in her courtroom on January 9th in Georgia. Okay. Now, maybe you didn't see this in the news. Maybe you're not up on things. Alex. Oh, yeah, I'm up on bankruptcy too. Alex.
Oh, did you hear him? Oh, yeah, I'm up on your bankruptcy too. Oh, that is a sick burn. Oh, my God. Take that, Mike. Oh, man. That's just fantastic. This kid is so good.
I'm up on bankruptcy too. Alex Halderman with a ballpoint pen hacked into the machine in front of the judge.
Notice he just completely bypasses that. He's ignoring it. You're not going to tell the kid why you're going bankrupt? Mike Lindell got the bright idea to attend the DNC in disguise. Dude shaved his mustache off, seriously, and got in an argument with a 12-year-old kid. Oh my God, what is wrong with him? He was bodied by this kid. It's fantastic. Let's just talk about the whole thing. I pieced together the argument, and I got a whole bunch of other clips I want to talk about here. I don't know what was said here. I suspect that he was probably saying, I'm Mike Lindell, as if nobody could tell. Like, oh my God, dude. Shave a mustache off and you think that makes you invisible to society.
Get rid of... We go to paper balloting. Ask him what proof he has in the spirit. Why? How do you know? Which election you're talking about? No. There was one down in Georgia, 3 Democrats. I'm from Georgia. Okay, there's 3 Democrats in Georgia, and there's somebody 22. She's a good friend of mine. She got 0 votes in her own precinct. So, Brenda, I'm not telling you her last name.
Yeah, so she's a public figure, and you can't tell us her last name? He's talking about a real person that this actually happened with. There was actually a case where this woman got 0 votes in a district, which didn't make any sense because she voted for herself, and she requested an audit, and everybody was like, oh yeah, totally, let's take another look at this. So they followed the paper trail and find that there was an error in one of the systems. They fixed the error, they counted the votes through the paper system, and found that would she get maybe second place, and maybe she did get first? I don't remember. Anyway, that's how the system's supposed to work. If there's a problem, which is inevitable, there are problems, you can just trace it back, and count by hand if need be. Like, anybody can raise a red flag, and they should be able to. But switching to a hand-counted system is absolutely absurd. There are so many more errors that way. Anyway, this one case he's telling the truth about, but he's completely misrepresenting.
Brenda, I'm not telling you her last name.
I see, actually.
But you see. But let me tell you.
No proof.
The proof. They looked into it in Georgia.
Okay.
Crooked Brad Rasmussen, your Republican Secretary of State.
Okay.
He looked into it.
I don't know what he's talking about. This is like a municipal election. Why would Brad Raffensperger be looking into like a local municipal election?
Republican Secretary of State.
I mean, maybe, I suppose.
Brad Rasmussen, your Republican Secretary of State.
Okay.
He looked into it and said, oh, it was a computer error. They gave her back her vote. She went from third to first. She's a friend of mine. Another gal, Democrat.
Yeah, you can ask them to re-evaluate, to look. Anybody can do this. It's not hard.
Democrat, 4 counties over in Georgia. She got 4,600 votes, but she wasn't on the ballot.
I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Let me take your word for it, right?
No, just read the paper.
So what's your last name? She's an elected official.
Let me tell you. In Georgia, I will tell you, an Obama appointed judge last fall, this case been going on 3.5 years. Alex Halderman, this is in your state, so you should be up on it. Alex Halderman,
This dude is such an obnoxious fool. I can't stand it, man. This kid he's got nerves of steel to stand here and listen to this. Lindell shouldn't be up in his face like this. If you got into someone's face like this who was like an adult, he's liable to get punched for that. But okay, whatever.
He's a Democrat, okay, and he's also a cyber guy, and he looked into the machine.
That's a cyber guy.
And he said there's problems. That judge last fall.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about here. This is just a lie. This dude he's talking about famously, I believe, if it's the same guy, he gave this testimony to Congress or something 20 years ago and claimed that it's technically possible to write code and insert it into these voting systems that would flip an election. He didn't say that he has any evidence this happened. He didn't say that he did it himself or that he even knows how to do it. He just said that it's technologically possible to do. Well, yes, obviously it's technologically possible. He's not telling us anything new. I assume that's what Lindell's talking about. He talks about that case all the time.
That judge last fall ruled. He ruled in your state. He said, we're going to look into this. We're bringing it to court. And the experts say there's problems. And she said, and if you question it, you're not a conspiracy theorist. So I got to take off my tinfoil hat. Now, guess this, in her courtroom on January 9th in Georgia.
Okay.
Now, maybe you didn't see this in the news. Maybe you're not up on things. Alex.
Oh, yeah, I'm up on bankruptcy, too.
Alex.
Oh, did you hear him? Oh, yeah, I'm up on your bankruptcy, too. Oh, that is a sick burn. Oh, my God. Take that, Mike. Oh, man. That's just fantastic. This kid is so good.
I'm up on bankruptcy, too.
Alex Halderman with a ballpoint pen hacked into the machine in front of the judge.
Notice he just completely bypasses that. He's ignoring it. You're not going to tell the kid why you're going bankrupt?
I'm up on bankruptcy, too.
Alex Halderman with a ballpoint pen hacked into the machine in front of the judge and switched the whole election.
That's nonsense. That did not happen.
In front of her. Now, that case is still in Georgia. She has that ruled on it. That's in your state. You want to know more in your state? They just found 250.
Like, I can make things up, too.
257,000 votes. This happened last week. A judge ruled in Georgia that are missing from the 2020 election. This just came out. You're behind. You shouldn't.
So your sources trust me, bro? That's your source?
Yeah. The source. It's in your papers in Georgia.
It is? It's in the papers? No, it's not. He's making this up, a lot of it. And what he's not making up is twisted out of proportion.
The source, it's in your papers in Georgia. You need to read your news.
You haven't given me any last name.
Read your news. No, this is your Georgia news.
You're lying for the next
This is your Georgia.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good day, sir. Let's keep walking.
Oh my God, dude. He lost that debate, Mike did, in my opinion. He just gets up in this kid's face and starts yelling at him. Seriously, you get punched for doing that kind of thing. And did he really show up in disguise and think that that was going to work? He thinks he's going to shave his mustache and put sunglasses on and get up in people's faces and scream at them about election fraud and nobody will know that it's Mike Lindell. Are you shitting me? Okay. He actually apparently did like a live stream leading up to this where he does the whole, like, you know, he broadcasts creating the disguise or whatever. Check this out.
Wow. Okay, now we got to get the rest of the disguise on, okay?
It's a disguise.
Let me see how it looks all in one thing. There. Great, Tom. Here we go. This would be, I'll use this. The police gave me this as the last if things get out of hand. And that will be on me.
Okay, why would things get out of hand? You know Charlie Kirk was just like wandering around, right? At the DNC? You didn't have to go in disguise. You could just like show up. And by the way, since we're talking about Mike Lindell, we'll come back to this in a second. Why is it that Matt Walsh showed up there in disguise? Why do these people keep showing up in disguise? I don't understand. This is Matt Walsh. I thought to myself, you know, maybe it's a doppelganger. No, he's wearing the outfit that he wore for his movie that he did with Ben Shapiro. He's got the wig with the ponytail and everything. It's Matt Walsh. Soon after showing up in full Kamala merch, he realized these people aren't the weird ones. I don't understand why they're doing this. Anyway, let's keep listening to Mike here.
We got this at a local hat place here in Chicago.
That'll fool him. There is something wrong with this guy, right?
Yeah. What do you guys think?
Looking good. I knew you would, baby.
Like, if he had just kept his mouth shut, he could have done it. He didn't go there to be incognito, I have to guess. I don't think I've ever seen his wife before.
Well, we hope it's all worth it, you guys. I mean, we've got to go. We're going to go into the DNC. We're going to get going there like this. We're going to interview. We're going to get people. I want to go find the media.
Are you kidding me? Then why are you going in disguise, Mike? He wants to find the media in disguise and complain about election fraud in disguise? What?
I want to get to the media. So when the media is there at the DNC, then we're going to tell them about the event tomorrow here in Chicago, which is absolutely going to be the biggest event in this week. and one of the most important events of the year, because we're going to bring Democrats from all over Chicago that voted for Biden, and now they're voting for Donald Trump, and we're going to ask them all, why are you doing that? What made you switch?
Okay, that sounds interesting, actually. I would watch that. I wonder if I can find that. Where do I find that? Mike Lindell asks Biden voters why they switch to Trump. I don't even know where I would look for that. I'll find it, though. He got into some other shenaniganery at the end of this, too. Listen to him complaining about the bathroom.
That's bizarre. That's all I can say. What is wrong with that picture?
He sees a unisex bathroom. You know, the kind of bathroom that has like the little disabled sign on it that has a man and a woman on the sign or whatever, where it's a little bit bigger, where people can go in if they have a wheelchair or some other anything at all, just whatever, or if they like bigger bathrooms. He saw that and melted down over that, really?
A lot.
Now, were there urinals? Any women sitting in urinals?
I didn't look. I kind of went, kind of had a little tunnel vision in there.
What has happened to our world?
It's upside down. It's right now. This is the battle we're in. It's a spiritual battle of evil and good and nonsensical and common sense. We have all this. It's like a teeter-totter, but we're winning. I really believe we're winning.
He thinks it's a battle between good and evil because we have one of those bathrooms that's like unisex, really? And he says that it's a bathroom that like men and women enter, like a big bathroom, like a public restroom with multiple stalls and stuff. I'm sorry, man. I'm having a hard time believing literally anything out of his mouth. I'm sure everybody can tell why. Anyway, let's switch back to the kid who absolutely bodied Mike Lindell because he got interviewed afterward and it was pretty interesting. Listen to this.
Mike Lindell just got rolled by a 12-year-old. Amazing, amazing work. How you doing today, Noah? How you feeling?
I'm great. Good to see you.
The energy on the ground feels great. Day 3 of the DNC. How did you like Obama's speech?
Obama's speech was great. Michelle Obama's speech, even better. When she said the affirmative action of generational wealth, just great.
Insanely good speech. Obama is back. He's so back. It feels so good.
Hope is back as well. Hope is back in the air.
Hope is back, and I think that's...
People underestimate 12-year-olds. They underestimate kids generally and how, like, aware they are. How much they're paying attention to the things around them, how much they pick up. This kid is just a political commentator like me or like anybody else, and he's right on top of it. He may not have the experience of some yet, but he has all the same logical processes and capabilities as anybody else. I mean, it's pretty clear, seems to me.
Mike Lindell is so worked up over there. Also, this cameraman is really annoying. This cameraman keeps smiling and laughing at me.
I think that's all.
So annoying.
Yeah, I believe that was Mike Lindell's cameraman. I'm not sure.
Cameraman. But either way, who are you excited to see speak today?
I'm excited to hear from Governor Walz. If his wife Gwen decides to speak, I heard her yesterday. Great speech, great story. Everything lined up everything lined up in her speech, but every time a Republican says something, it's impossible to fact check and impossible to sort.
I want to ask you, because I think you're brilliant, so I want to know, what does it mean to you as you're 12 years old, a 12-year-old Black American to have representation on the national stage like Kamala Harris?
Sure. Oh, that means everything. I had my cousin just last week. She said, it was 3 months ago, she said, I'll be president, maybe I'll be the 100th president. Now I hear her say she's going to be the 56th. It's great.
That gave me chills. That is absolutely amazing, and that is what America is about.
I'm done.
Like, the kid's media training is truly impressive. He has absolutely no nervousness. He just says it as it is, puts his words together really succinctly, doesn't look at the camera or anything. Like, it's just really, really good. He's really good at this. I wish I was that good, actually, in all seriousness. Like, standing in front of a crowd is hard. He spoke to another reporter afterward, apparently. Listen to this one.
I'm dumbfounded of how a grown man, well, I don't know if he's a grown man, but a grown man like Mike Lindell,
physically, but not emotionally, I suppose.
Approaching in that way. I had a simple question of why he's questioning a completely legitimate election. He had no proof. He said there was an elected official that found voter fraud, and I said, okay, what's her name?
She didn't find voter fraud, that's the thing. It was just an error with the ballot counting process. And she followed the process to its end, which is to request a recount, and it worked, and everybody went home at the end of the day, and we were all happy. It's not some big conspiracy or whatever. Jesus.
Name. He said the first name, but refused to give me a last name when the last name of a public official, an elected official at that, should be out there if they want to get reelected even. So I'm confused as to why he had such a hard time figuring that out.
Right.
It's because he's just a fool.
Right.
He had such a hard time figuring that out.
Right. Look, let's put that to one side. You've become a bit of an online star, certainly for a 12-year-old. What made you get involved in all this for the Democrats?
Yeah, the Democratic Party has the best policy platform we have seen. It's the oldest party also. And I'll also just say that the policy platform, not only we get a 2-in-1 deal this election, we get to defeat Donald Trump, and we get a good policymaker in the White House. So that's why I'm in it.
It's not vapid and empty. He's giving legitimate, real reasons and information. I appreciate that. It's on point. KNOWAWASTAKEN. Noah was taken. That's his social media name.
I'm in it.
Right. So how important do you think, I mean, we've just seen a report on social media influencers there and what's happening. How important do you think social media will be in this election?
Yeah, I think it'll be very important. Let's start off with kids and 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds don't typically read old school news. They go to TikTok for their information. They go to Twitter for their information. They're kind of tired of old school media, no offense. But
he's totally right.
I think it'll be highly critical to not only combat misinformation, but to provide new information as well.
Right. Who's winning in your...
He's saying don't just go on the defense, go on the offense. That's really intelligent, actually. That's like very media aware.
Right. Who's winning, in your view, the battle on the For You pages on TikTok, for instance?
The FYP, Kamala Harris.
Aren't you surprised I knew about that?
I am. I mean, hey, I say Kamala Harris is winning the FYP battle by far. We've
For You page, of course.
seen so many great influencers, musical artists, and actors endorse Kamala, and Trump has Kid Rock. So who and Hulk Hogan? So who?
And Ted Nugent, you know, that famed pedophile who wrote the song Jailbait, right? Jailbait, you look so good to me. Jailbait, won't you set me free? Jailbait, of course, meaning like an underage kid that's really attractive. I don't care if you're just 13. You look too good to be true. I just know that you're probably clean. There's one little thing I got to do to you. Jailbait, you look so good to me. Yeah, so that's who's on Trump's side. That's another one. Don't forget him. Oh my God, dude.
Who and Hulk Hogan? So who really cares about those two when you have stars that young people actually care about up front supporting Kamala?
Yeah.
We'll throw this.
Yeah. So when we've got this big speech tonight, for instance, right? Kamala Harris here tonight.
Right.
Do you think that's less important now, and it's more important what you guys are doing on TikTok and on other social media platforms? Is the big speech losing its impact, you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's funny enough, the big speech will be displayed on social media. So we need the big speech to use kind of like as a template to show that social media is important.
That's really on point. He's absolutely correct about this. Although I fell into this trap of underestimating the power of like the mainstream movement. There are so many people who still just watch TV to get their news. Like an unbelievable number of people don't use social media to get their news at all. Or they go to rallies or whatever, and that's it. The silent majority, if you will. It's a large portion of people. So I think social media is important, but it's not even the most important in my opinion. But I'm so disappointed to hear that Hulk Hogan endorsed Donald Trump. Doesn't surprise me, though. Didn't he get in, like, a bunch of trouble for saying the N-word a bunch and hiring a prostitute or something like that?
Social media is important, and this speech, the big speech tonight, will help display that.
But it's moments you're after. I mean, it's tiny moments from a much broader speech, isn't it? So it's possible that people are not getting the full context.
So if Kamala uses a word, for example, if Kamala says like a word that Gen Z uses frequently, then that'll get on your For You page and the young people will eat it up.
Could be cringy, though. You remember Hillary Clinton saying you should Pokemon go to the polls? You remember that? Oh, God. It's giving me like that cringe feeling just thinking of it.
Because we're going to have a lot of jobs from building infrastructure to coding, creating new apps. I don't know who created Pokemon Go.
Don't say it, Hillary.
But I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
She said it. That's bad. That's really bad. Anyway, it can bite you in the ass if you're not careful saying Gen Z words. Seriously. Probably don't. Just don't.
Frequently, then that'll get on your For You page, and the young people will eat it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the kid. Just fascinating that Mike Lindell thought it was a good idea to get in an argument with a kid like this. Fascinating that the dude thought that his voice wouldn't automatically be recognized. Like, I don't know, what was his goal here? I don't understand. And it's also fascinating that this kid is so on point with his political analysis and everything. He isn't just, it doesn't seem to me that he's just like repeating political things that he's heard. He's asked real questions and he gives real answers, in my opinion. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. I love everything about it, man. Yeah, I had another clip. I was looking for the right clip about Lindell. Is this it?
Trump 2024, y'all already know who we voting for. Vote for my uncle, period. Trump 2024. Trump, say the USA. MAGA.
Yeah, sorry, that wasn't the video I meant to look at. My mistake. I was looking for this video that was behind it the whole time. This kid goes and talks to Mike Lindell while he's in disguise.
Guys, everybody, Mike Lindell, the pillow guy, is here. So let's ask him a question. Mike, I have a question. How does it feel to support a convicted felon? A proven sexual abuser. A proven... No, it's okay. A proven sexual abuser.
Wow, when somebody, like, isn't 12 years old, Mike Lindell doesn't want to talk to him or debate him, huh?
A proven sexual abuser. Convicted felon, Mike Lindell. Convicted felon, Mike Lindell. Convicted. How does it feel? How does it feel to support a convicted felon? How does it feel to support a
Did you get your vasectomy? You know what he's referencing right now? There's this whole meme going around on the right that Democrats are sending around big buses to give free on-site abortions and vasectomies. I don't know if that's true, but it does not sound true. Like, I gotta find out. Is that real? Let's find out here. NPR. Oh, wait, are they just giving out the pills? Is that what it is? I mean, abortion is like a medical procedure. You shouldn't just be like going in and getting one at some random bus or whatever, it seems to me. And also, aren't vasectomies like invasive? Don't you need a clean room and stuff for that? I can't imagine this is real, but okay, whatever. NPR, as Democrats began gathering for the first day of their convention across town, Louis Ayala was getting something he'd been wanting for a while. Wow, passive language, that's not correct. Was getting something he's wanted for a while. I mean, it was a little uncomfortable, he said, laughing. I don't think it was painful, but it was uncomfortable. I couldn't do it. He was a little uncomfortable because he just had a vasectomy. Ayala is 28 and works as an electrician. His wife saw a social media post about a free reproductive health clinic Planned Parenthood was sponsoring in Chicago during the Democratic convention and suggested that he sign up. I have 3 kids and pretty much wanted to stop having kids, Ayala explained about having the procedure. Can't blame him for that one. That way I can focus on the 3 kids that I have and give them the best future they can have. Wow, these names. His wife, Fabiola Ayala, says they wanted the procedure a few years ago while she was pregnant with their 3rd child, but another doctor discouraged her husband because he was in his early 20s. So I ended up having to get on birth control, and I'm ready to remove my birth control and just get off the hormones, she said. Louis Ayala was just one of 10 patients who sought vasectomy care at the mobile clinic. Okay, so it was a mobile clinic. They weren't like going on tour around the country in a bus, like setting up shop and giving free abortions and vasectomies or whatever. God, these people are insane.
Convicted felon. How does it feel to support a convicted felon? I hope that you don't continue to support a sexual abuser, but you continue to do it.
See, this is the only strategy that works with Mike Lindell. He gets in your face and yells and acts like a fool. You got to match that energy if you're going to get in a debate with him. And when you do, he realizes it's fraught because he's not going to be able to get his propagandistic nonsense out, and he walks away. I would love to get this guy locked into a debate, though. You can't leave. You and I have to stand here and talk. That'd be fantastic. Anyway, yeah. Tell me what you think about all this in the comments. Mike Lindell is, I don't know. I don't know what word to use for him. Tell me, do you think that he really believed that no one was going to recognize him by shaving off that mustache? Tell me why he would have even bothered putting on a disguise. Like, why? Darkest Timeline Kamala, don't Super Mario wonder if your vote will matter? Have a Genshin impact on our future and Pokemon go to the polls. Ugh, you're making me want to vomit over here. Oh my God, it's so stupid. See, this is what I'm saying. Don't pretend to be in an age bracket that you're not. Don't. You look like a cringe fool every single time. Next up, Trump prophet Julie Green has a new prophecy for us. She lays it out for us while wearing an orange spray tan like her dear leader, Agent Orange. Why do people do this? Anyway, she says that God told her that the Democratic Party is a hot mess, and Biden and Harris are about to have a falling out. Any 5 minutes now.
We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally.
Breaking news will be heard that will rattle the enemy's camp. Innocent. This ruling will be heard.
Well, that's just false. Our court system doesn't work off of innocence. It works off of guilty or not guilty, but okay.
The case has fallen apart. Their last-ditch effort did not work for President Trump. They cannot put him in jail now as the last indictment falls apart.
This is Julie Green. Usually she looks like this. But today, she looks like this. I guess she's wearing her Trump orange bronzer today. Anyway, she's a Trump prophet, gets messages from God, and disseminates them to the world about Donald Trump. She's got a new prophecy for us. And oh my God, her prophecies fail more often than not, and I love it. I have a whole clip collection marked prophecy fail, or prophecy if it hasn't failed yet. Anyway, here's another prophecy fail. Check this one out. This one's from mid-August 2024.
You will see this is clear when things don't go the way they want it at the DNC.
Okay, DNC is over, so she's about to prophesy something about it and be wrong.
There is a great divide, and you will see that that is true. Watch what the delegates do. That will surprise you.
Okay. Okay, let's just pause there for a second. Would you be surprised to find out that there's nothing surprising about the delegates? Actually, there was. You know what it was? You know what was surprising about it? Let me show you the surprise about, like, when the delegates were being counted. This is how it played out right here.
My name is DJ Cassidy, and I'd like to welcome you all to the Democratic National Convention roll call.
Fun. Yeah, the Republicans didn't have this. They had an actual DJ. It gets even better. Snoop Dogg.
The great state of California. How do you cast your vote? Georgia. How do you cast your votes?
Lil Jon showed up. Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, it was fun. I was surprised by that, as a matter of fact. She was totally correct. I guess this is a successful prophecy, huh?
Watch what the delegates do. That will surprise you.
Like, how does she have any legitimacy left, honestly? She's not a nobody. She's, like, significantly bigger than me. She's got, like, hundreds of thousands of subbies, tons of views every single day. It's nuts how much attention she gets. And she's like, she knows Eric Trump and Don Jr., and I think she's even met Trump, you know, the main Trump, the biggest scumbag of them all. I've heard whispers that she might also be the future spiritual advisor, you know, taking the place of Paula White. You guys remember Paula White? Remember this woman right here? This is Trump's old spiritual advisor.
Strike and 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 strike until you have victory.
So anyway, yeah, Julie Green might be filling that position. She's very influential, and she's wrong so much it's ridiculous.
Do that will surprise you. That Zoom call they had was a fake and a facade to push other agendas for this DNC and make.
I don't know what Zoom call she's talking about. I thought maybe like this women's Zoom call, a bunch of women that were moderately famous to very famous talk to each other, I think. Is that what it was? I looked pretty hard. I have no clue what she's going on about.
Agendas for this DNC and make Kamala think it's all her show when it's not. Hold on, my children. Things are about to heat up in Washington between Kamala, the Bidens, and the establishment.
Okay, any 5 minutes, right?
The Democratic Party is in a hot mess, or is a hot mess right now, you would say, and that is about to be exposed in a major way.
And it never happened. She lies constantly, and people buy it. This is absolutely crazy to me. I don't know if you guys like remember some of her old failed prophecies. This one is not that old, actually. This one is from early January 2024. Listen to this.
My children, the time has come. A time that you have been waiting for. A reinstatement. A shift of power. A new government in control. An overthrow and a takeover in this nation from the hands of the wicked to the hands of the righteous.
Oopsie daisy. Yeah, that didn't happen, did it? When she says hands of the wicked, she means Biden. When she says hands of the righteous, she means Trump. Trump doesn't have power. What are you talking about?
The fall has come. The time is drawing near. A coup is about to be disrupted and annihilated, and everyone a part of it exposed.
Okay, coup disrupted and annihilated and everyone exposed, and what, Donald Trump is going to take the place of the leader or something? I don't understand how this all works into itself.
And removed. So my children, hold on. 2024 will start out with a bang. So brace for a mighty impact coming to shake you loose from the chain.
Like, I thought to myself, you know, maybe she is saying that, like, there's going to be a big shakeup at the end of the year when elections take place, like November. But no, she's talking about, like, the beginning of 2024. This is just like a lie. She's claiming that God is telling her this information. She's lying. And she was wrong. When are people going to realize that she's just lying?
So brace for a mighty impact coming to shake you loose from the chains that bind you. It will look worse, but remember my words. This means your enemy's days are running out.
Anyway, that's just another failed prophecy from her. Oh my God, there are an endless supply of false prophecies from her, and I love everything about it. Check this one out. This one is from December 20th, 2023. Just a month before that last one.
Putin. This name continues to be in your news. I told you, my children, you would be surprised on which side he's on. Shocking information is about...
No, I'm not surprised. He's on Putin's side. And anything that he does is intended to further the goals of Putin. That's pretty obvious.
Shocking information is about to come out of Russia that will show the world proof of the establishment in D.C.
Any second, right?
Of its deals that were made with Russia. So, they thought.
She thinks that the Democrats made deals with Putin?
Putin has many things against the Biden and Obama. Much proof of their evil intent and evil plans and strategies made against their own nation.
You notice how she said the Biden and Obama? She speaks of Biden as though he is the devil. That's kind of how she frames it. It's just absurd, dude. I think she believes him to be a demon, actually. I mean, I don't know that for sure. It's just... when you call somebody the Biden, that's kind of a dead giveaway.
Strategies made against their own nation. and the nations around the world. Deals they made with Russia or they thought were made in confidence when it was always a setup.
It was a setup by Putin because Putin's got the United States' best interests at heart, of course, right?
This explosive evidence is about to surface to shake the fake administration and the swamp to their core. Putin has more proof regarding the 2020 election that most people don't even know he had.
Why would Putin have evidence about a U.S. election? That is super weird, right? And why wouldn't he release it now? Like, what are you even talking about? It's so interesting to see, like, the conspiracy theories that arise from the QAnon world, which she is a part of, and that are so very obviously manufactured by Russia. Like, forever ago, there was this conspiracy theory that appeared, like, immediately after the Ukraine war started, like 2 weeks after or something. Conspiracy theories start coming out of QAnon that back up Russia. And if you remember, at the time, there was zero support for Russia. Everybody was all in for Ukraine. So when everybody was all in for Ukraine and opposed to Russia, then conspiracy theories come out starting to support Russia right in the middle of it. Conspiracies that, like, were very obviously proven false. Putin invented a propaganda technique, or at least put a name to it. It's called the fire hose of falsehoods propaganda technique, and it works like this. You don't know which line, slogan, or idea is going to connect with society, so you flood the media space, the news, newspapers, social media, everything, flood it with a billion different claims. Like, Ukraine stole this property, this land. It belonged to Russia at first. They're trying to stop Nazis in Ukraine. They're trying to stop biolabs in Ukraine. They're trying to stop sex trafficking in Ukraine. Trying to stop all kind, whatever. Spew it all out on every network you possibly can and see which one sticks. Invariably, every single person in the country, you know, in Russia's case, will at least have heard these short slogans, these short lines. Ukraine is engaging in, you know, Ukraine has biolabs, for example. Everybody will hear at least one of them, and a lot of people will hear one of them, and it will really connect with all of them. And QAnon, Delora O'Brien, this woman right here, she was one of those nodes of disinformation. 2 weeks after, 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks after the Ukraine war started. She comes out here on her show and says this.
I'm not on Putin's side. I'm not on Zelensky's side.
I bet.
I'm not on Trump's side. I'm on God's side. God's side is the side of truth. It just so happens that right now, our President Trump is on the side of God. Also, believe it or not, so is Putin.
I don't believe it.
Right before I came on here, this is what was sent to me. A Russian soldier. I even have his name, and I can't give it. I'm sorry. I can't.
It was fake, obviously.
Just research it. I'm sure it'll start coming out. Searching for bioweapons. There was him and a few of the other soldiers.
It never came out. There were never any bio labs producing bioweapons or whatever in Ukraine. All of this stuff is completely made up. But if you notice, she's throwing out multiple conspiracies right now. First, they're looking for biolabs, right?
Searching for bioweapons in central Ukraine, stumbled upon a child trafficking den.
So now we've got an additional claim. Child trafficking. They're throwing out everything that they can, seeing what sticks, seeing what people seem to care about the most. So the rest of this video, she just gets graphic needlessly. It's complete nonsense anyway. But that's the idea. That's the propaganda method. You know, the Mueller report, like, years ago, when Donald Trump was, like, suspected of colluding with Russia or whatever? He absolutely did. That is what the Mueller report turned up. A ton of people went to jail, including Trump's campaign manager. Mueller unequivocally and beyond question established a connection between Trump and Russia. There absolutely was collusion. But slowly, carefully, Putin erodes like facts and logical information by spreading nonsense through media. And this woman here, Julie Green, and Delora O'Brien, the other one, they bought it. They ate it up hook, line, and sinker.
In the 2020 election that most people don't even know he had.
So Putin has secret information about the 2020 election, totally. And he's going to start spreading this propaganda around October, I bet.
Not everything has been told to the public. Many pieces for freedom have been held back for the right time.
Why?
And that time is drawing near.
Why didn't they turn over this supposed evidence in 2020? What are you even talking about? Right? These people are just like jokes of human beings. I don't know how they got to where they are, but everybody seemed to like be really enjoying themselves at the DNC. There was none of this ridiculous, there are going to be secret coups and people are going to be upset and hate each other. Blah, blah, blah. None of that. People just enjoying themselves. See, look at this. People cheering, going nuts. Giant crowds. Yeah, anyway, she's super popular. And actually, I think this is when she was not in Chicago. This is live from another location. I could be wrong on that. But they were holding a watch party wherever she was with Tim Walz, and she filled like multiple venues. She's so incredibly popular right now. It's ridiculous. Anyway, tell me what you think about this bronzer that she's wearing, please. I want to know, is this like a new trend that I should be following? Do I need to get this orange makeup or what? And I've talked about this one even recently, I think, but like she prophesied that Donald Trump would not be convicted or there would be no guilty verdict specifically. And then she had to admit that there was, in fact, a guilty verdict. God, I love watching her try to weasel her way out of accountability for her false prophecies. The Bible is like really specific about what happens to false prophets, right? Not that I stand for that. I'm just saying it was pretty specific.
Breaking news will be heard that will rattle the enemy's camp.
This is like 2 days before the Trump verdict was passed down. And of course, we're the enemies, you see.
Innocent. This ruling will be heard.
Well, that's just false. Our court system doesn't work off of innocence. It works off of guilty or not guilty, but okay.
The case has fallen apart. Their last-ditch effort did not work for President Trump.
But it did.
They cannot put him in jail now as the last indictment falls apart. Watch how things dramatically take place to stop your election and my David from taking back the seat of the president.
But nothing is stopping him from running or whatever. What are you talking about?
But your enemies cannot stop the freight train coming against them because it's me.
God is the freight train. Okay.
Saith the Lord of hosts.
Again, it's from God. These messages are supposed to be from God. And after Trump, was convicted, got a guilty verdict, she comes out here and says this one.
He says, there will be no guilty verdict because there's no crime. He will not do any time behind their bars and their prisons. No, they will not get what they wanted. No, not at all. Well, you can say, well, that was not true because there was a guilty verdict.
I could say that, and I am, as a matter of fact.
Look, he says there will be no guilty verdict because when somebody is exonerated, it's like it never existed in the first place.
No, that's not how that works. There was definitely a guilty verdict.
You can have a fake inauguration. Doesn't mean the person in that place is a real president. You can have a fake king to be coronated. Doesn't mean he's actually king.
Okay, but you said there'd be no guilty verdict, and there was a guilty verdict.
You can have a fake verdict. It doesn't mean that person is actually guilty.
Yeah, but there was a guilty verdict. Are you kidding me right now? Anyway, God, I love watching her try to weasel her way out of this. Just fantastic.
At all.
Somebody says the painting behind her is a cry for help. That's funny. Yeah, that is a weird painting. Check this one out. This is an older one from her.
Adam Schiff, how shifty you are. A weasel, a rat. You sold this nation out and formulated plans to throw out my son.
Remember, this is a message from God that she's presenting to us. When did this one come out? This one is from, actually, mid-August 2022, so a couple years old now.
From his rightful position as president.
She attacks anybody that she thinks it would be beneficial to attack for Donald Trump. I mean, God does. My mistake.
You thought you were so clever and couldn't be caught. Well, I will shine my spotlight on you, and all will see the proof of your disgusting acts against my son.
His disgusting act? How does she know is disgusting? And also, what proof? What happened? Nothing. Is this a false prophecy? I'm marking this down as a false prophecy.
Against my son, the true president, and also your part in selling my nation to China for your protection. Just like the United States was to sink like the Titanic, you were supposed to be set for life because of the part you played. Yes, China is selling you out, and I will show the world who you are. You too will be tried for treason. You will also pay with your life. Nothing can save you now.
That is straight up psychotic. She's advocating for, what was Adam Schiff? Is that his name? For Adam Schiff to be, like, killed. That is nuts. Get help. You know what else is a cry for help? Her makeup. And not in this one, but in the other one, her, this right here, cry for help. She's screaming, I'm having a mental issue right now. Somebody please help me with this. Why else would somebody paint themselves orange and go out there in front of an audience? I don't understand. You know what? In her honor, for the rest of this video, I'm going to turn my lights orange. So let's make it orange. Yeah, orange. Right there. Yep. In her honor, I'm orange now.
Adam Schiff, for your shifty deals have cost you your life, and nothing can change your future. Chuck Schumer, your story is similar to that of Nancy, Adam, Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney, and Obama.
She's just going down Trump's list of political enemies.
You are all the same, evil to your core, and you sold your souls to China and to the devil himself. You will pay with your lives, but not before your judgments, and you will lose everything you hold dear to you. You have received your indictments, and you know your days are numbered here on this earth. None of you will enjoy your last days.
You think Adam Schiff is sitting on the other end watching this, thinking to himself, I know this is a message from God, and he's on to me. He knows what I did. This is insane. Somebody in her life has to help her, seriously.
My mighty army comes for you to remove you from your places of power and where you sleep. These are the days of Haman. You wanted death for my nation and my children, but instead you will reap your harvest, though not before you see your nightmares come to pass. My son will return and will be put back in his rightful seat. You will all pay with your lives, and your plans will not succeed. I, the great I am passing judgment, and it is time for you to reap all what you have sown in one time.
I mean, you can tell that she's intentionally using biblical language too, right? She's trying to make it sound like she's reading from the Bible when she's really reading from her like notebook or whatever that she wrote as she's receiving this message from God. It's just absurd.
It is time for you to reap all what you have sown in one time, all at one time.
Nobody speaks like this. This is like King James language. You're telling me that God wrote a book in another language with different accents, different grammatical structure and everything, and had it penned like 3,000 years ago or something to 2,500 or whatever. But King James was the correct interpretation. That was the correct translation. And that language is the only one that God wants us to use. That's what you're telling me? So like leading up to this moment in history, people have gotten it wrong and you're the first one to get it right? Dude, I could go through these all night. Oh my God, I have so many clips from her. Oh my God. This clip, I'm just picking out random ones now because they're so funny. This one says, Julie Green says Amazon and Twitter are in trouble with God. I don't even remember this one.
You haven't heard it all regarding Twitter.
More exposures will be released. Things are not how they appear with this company, and the world will soon hear it all.
This was early October 2022.
Amazon is about to be hit with exposures, and their stocks will begin to fall. Hidden agendas and a front for evil things behind closed doors.
She's just picking random companies and saying random things about it, and she gets it wrong constantly. How does anybody believe her?
Amazon and everyone in control, you are being judged, and you will not stand when I move my hand, saith the Lord of hosts.
God, it's so embarrassing and cringy and painful. Almost as cringy and painful as when Hillary Clinton said, Pokemon go to the polls.
Pokemon Go. But I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
Anyway, sorry for that one. Yeah, tell me what you think about this woman in the comments. You know, that bronzer, I feel like that bronzer could grow on me, but I would scrape it off if it did. You know, on another note, like, we make fun of Hillary Clinton a lot, but she was actually 100% right about literally everything. We laugh at her and say she's ridiculous and she did a whole bunch of stuff and blah, blah, blah. She was right. You know why she's actually so hated? Because she was the wife of Bill Clinton, who was the governor of Arkansas back in the 90s. I think it was the 90s. And she was a feminist. That's why she's so hated. The press used to show up and just attack her nonstop at those meetings about being a feminist and slander her and say all kinds of terrible, you know, before social media, of course. They just destroy her. And people have hated her ever since. She was actually absolutely on point with everything. Next up, Kandiss Taylor, Georgia governor candidate, says the line in the Constitution about freedom of religion is really about Christians' freedom of religion. She says it doesn't cover Muslims or Buddhists or any other religion, just Christianity. She was never the brightest bulb in the box, though. Since we're talking about it, I found a parody clip about her arguing that the earth is flat. It's pretty funny. We'll be right back. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally.
Freedom of religion. Freedom of religion is there for us to worship Jesus. It's not for you to come force anything else upon me. And so we had that all wrong, and we've had tolerance. We've been politically correct. And at what point are we going to say, nope, we're not going to be? You can do whatever you want to in the comfort of your home. You can do whatever you want to, but don't come into my government and bring any of that trash in there.
This is Kandiss Taylor on the left. She has a message for Muslims and Buddhists and anybody else who's not Christian.
The idea behind the whole document was
talking about the Constitution,
that the church runs the state. The church and we, the people, we are the church. You and I, Eric, are the church. And so we run the state. But
that's false. That's not what the document said.
The state, the government, has no control over the church. And then everybody's like, oh, well, then you got to let Satanists come in, and you've got to let witches come in, and you've got to let Muslims and Hindu. No.
Okay. There's a lot of backstory to this, but let's just keep listening.
Come in, and you've got to let witches come in, and you've got to let Muslims and Hindu. No. No, we don't. No, we don't. Because America is founded on God Almighty, creator God. Yeah.
Does she think that Muslims believe in a different God than Christians?
Yahweh, Elohim. We can go on and on.
There's so much stupid here. I don't know where to start.
That is what we're founded on. And I don't have to honor your religion. I don't have to give you freedom of religion. Freedom of religion is there for us to worship Jesus. It's not for you to come force anything else upon me.
Are you kidding me right now? Freedom of religion doesn't actually mean freedom of religion. I mean, literally everything that she said is a lie. All of it. She's talking about like Satanist witches and stuff getting into government because Ryan Walters of Oklahoma said a while back that he's allowing pastors to take over in schools in place of school counselors. And he's also forcing teachers to use the Bible as a reference document and to teach from the Bible in class. He instructed teachers to do that. And if they don't, then they'll be fired, basically. He's a superintendent over all of Oklahoma schools. That's illegal, obviously, but he doesn't really care. You know, the goal is to poke a billion holes, poke holes all over the place. One of those holes is going to tear. We just have to find out which one it is. So poke as many as we can. Yes, it's illegal, but eventually one of them might reach the Supreme Court and might get the result that you're looking for. He has to be successful once. We have to be successful all the time. Anyway, he passed this thing that said that teachers must read from the Bible or they'll be fired. And as a result, Satanists come in and they start filling the role that he laid out. They are pushing, they are trying to become school counselors, and they're doing all this other stuff, you know, chaplains and all that. And that really upset him, Ryan Walters, and people like Kandiss Taylor, like all of them. Because Congress shall make no law respecting religion or whatever. That means that you can put holy books in school, but you can't put the Bible in school. You can't ban other religions from being involved if you allow Christianity to be involved, basically. And the right is having like a collective meltdown because they can't get their way by banning Satanists and allowing Christian pastors. That's what this whole thing is about.
Freedom of religion. Freedom of religion is there for us to worship Jesus.
No, it's there for everybody to be free to practice their religion. Are you kidding me? Does she really not know this?
It's not for you to come force anything else upon me.
No one's trying to force anything on anybody. I just want to be able to like worship the way I want. What is going through her head? Is there anything knocking around up there? Is it just air? If I blow in one ear, will it come out the other?
And so we had that all wrong. And we've had tolerance. We've been politically correct. And at what point are we going to say, nope, we're not going to be?
Not going to be tolerant. No more tolerance.
You can do whatever you want to in the comfort of your home. You can do whatever you want to, but don't come into my government and bring any of that trash in there.
Okay, don't come into my government and bring your trash in then. See how that works? I can complain about it too. She wants special treatment. She wants privileged treatment for her religion. And she's complaining that she doesn't have it when she actually does. I mean, Christianity is very much privileged in the U.S.
And we shouldn't be electing anyone in government, local, state, or federal, that is not a Christian.
That's absolutely nuts, dude. Fascinatingly, she's said that multiple times, as it turns out. That is not the first time, although that one seems to be making its round on social media. This one is from early April 2022.
My slogan's Jesus, guns, and babies. Jesus, because that's our First Amendment right. It's the right to worship Jesus Christ freely. It's why we have a country. Don't talk to me about separation of church and state. Church and state was written because the state has no business in our church.
No. It says, Congress shall make no law respecting religion, and Thomas Jefferson expanded on that in his document about separation of church and state, his letter to Danbury Church. Very clearly said there can be no involvement between the two at all. There shouldn't be any involvement. If you get one involved, you can't separate the two. If they're connected, then they're connected. You can't have no government in church, but church in government. That's not how it works. She must know that, right? She's just like completely full of it.
But we are the church. We're the church and we run the state. And Georgia's sovereign and we're running this state with Jesus Christ first.
Oh no, she's a sovereign citizen.
The good thing about the First Amendment is if you're a Jew or you're a Muslim or you're a Buddhist, you still get to worship your God because you're in America. But you don't get to silence us.
No one's trying to silence you. Are you serious? She's pretending to be persecuted, while she is actively trying to persecute others. She's like signaling to the virtues that the other side adheres to. The freedom to practice your religion without persecution or whatever. And she's actively fighting against it for everybody else. This is nuts.
I'm sick of political correctness. It's going to stop.
It's not about political correctness. Are you serious?
Correctness. It's going to stop. I will not bend my knee. I will not take Jesus out, even when people say, Kandiss, you should say God. No, I'm going to say Jesus. He's my Savior. He saved me.
Who told her that she should say God rather than Jesus? In what context would one be okay but not the other?
And guns, because yes, we have the right to protect ourselves. That's why I carry my pocketbook to the stage. We have the right to protect ourselves.
Is she saying that she had a gun in her bag?
If I say get down, I'm a good shot. But we also have the right to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. Look at Australia.
Okay, what about Australia? I know what she's going to say in all seriousness. She's going to complain about the fact that Australia has really strict gun laws because there was a massacre, an absolute bloodbath in the 90s, I believe, the late 90s. And it was so devastating to the Australian people that they outlawed a whole bunch of guns, or they made it really difficult to get certain guns. You can, I think, if you go through all these processes and get licensed and prove you know what you're doing and all that, but it's an uphill battle, which it should be. In my opinion, that's how it should be. Kandiss Taylor wants a gun, okay, but she has to do at least as much work to own it as she would have to do to own a car, at least. Licensing, registration, insurance, the whole 9 yards. She doesn't want that. She wants untraceable, unlicensed guns. She wants a gun behind every blade of grass, seemingly. Yeah, she ran for governor in Georgia, and her slogan was, Jesus, guns, babies. I'm like, it's such a psychotic slogan. Check this clip out from her. This is mid-June 2024.
When you're the president of the free world, when you're the most powerful man in the world, and you need to be kind of a butthole, and you.
Okay, she's giving her reasons why women shouldn't be the president right now.
And you need to tell people, back up.
Okay, see, women can't be buttholes, quote unquote. God, what is wrong with her?
And so, people are like, oh, I want a female VP. I don't want a female VP. I want both.
What? She ran for governor of Georgia. Isn't it like effectively the same position on a smaller scale?
Both president and vice president to be men, alpha, strong men that love Jesus, that only bow their knee to him, Jesus Christ.
That's right.
That submit to the people's will, that do what's right for the Constitution. I want those men in place. I don't want a woman. And I'm a strong woman. I hear from the Lord God.
Okay, well, women don't want you either, for what it's worth. This whole alpha male thing is very reminiscent of Andrew Tate, right? It sounds just like something he would say. Hearing people say alpha just makes me sick because it's so ridiculous. And for what it's worth, this is a quality of fascism. Fascism was a political party created in Italy in the 1920s, teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, popularized by Mussolini, the Italian dictator, also used by Hitler, the German dictator. Some of the qualities are an absolute obsession with patriotism, with strength, with elitism. You are the strongest and the best and the smartest. You're an alpha. Supremacy of the military, widespread sexism. The government tends to be almost exclusively male-dominated. Traditional gender roles are made more rigid. Divorce, abortion, and homosexuality are suppressed. Religious messages and terminology are common from government leaders is another one. Governments use the most common religion in the nation as a tool to manipulate public opinion. This is why religion should stay out of government right here, because, and vice versa. It's so easy to manipulate somebody when you have their hearts like that, when you have their soul. You can get them to do absolutely anything. And as a matter of fact, that's what Hitler did. I don't know if Hitler was a Christian. I personally think he might have actually been an atheist secretly in the privacy of his own home or whatever. But he pretended to be Christian convincingly, and he used Christianity against people. That's why the separation is there. Exclusively male-dominated everything. An obsession with masculinity was like the defining feature of the fascist party in Italy. She's like exhibiting like every sign there is right now.
Men in place. I don't want a woman. And I'm a strong woman. I hear from the Lord. God has anointed me, and I can do what
He has? He's anointed her to do what?
He's anointed me, and I can do what God's called me in my role. I have a calling on my life. My calling is not to be the president or the vice president of the United States.
Or the governor, apparently, huh?
States, and it's not for any other woman either. And I know that's not popular among women. I don't care.
Right.
The word.
Such a rebel. She's a fighter, huh? She's an underdog for speaking her mind. Women suck, right?
The word of God is clear about leadership and who should be submissive and who should take the reins. And there are women are deep.
Did she just spit that word out? Submissive? Is that? Let me listen again.
Submissive and who should take the reins. And there are women are detailed and we're emotional and we see things differently and we are powerful in the spirit, in the kingdom of God.
This whole delineation between men and women like this, again, calls right back to fascism, the definition of it practically. Fascism doesn't really have a definition exactly because it was a political party, but there were some core features of fascism that are shared between that political party from the 30s onward and a number of other governments and political parties throughout history. They all share common features. And she is shouting out to them right now.
And there are places for us. Obviously, I believe that I ran for governor, but there's difference in a governor of a state versus the leader of a whole nation.
No, there isn't. It's the exact same role on a smaller scale. Are you serious right now? Why did she run for governor? Why is she involved in politics at all? She's a delegate now, isn't she? I think she's somehow involved. Is she on state Congress or something? Yeah, she's the Republican chair of Georgia's first congressional district. That's what she is, yeah. See, she is a woman and she's in a leadership position. Hilariously, when I was looking through stuff for Kandiss Taylor earlier, I come across this parody video. I'm not actually sure who this is, but it's dead on. Listen to this. This came out late May 2023.
You know, I'm not a scientist because that is a made up job, but I know that the earth is flat, okay? Because if the earth was round, why would maps be flat?
That's awesome, right?
They can never answer that, okay? And people want to be like, well, oh, if the earth is flat, then what about night and day? I don't know. Let me think about it. Maybe because the earth is double-sided and God flips us over when it's time for us to go to bed. And
that's so great. I love this to death. I don't know who she is. She's hilarious.
Over when it's time for us to go to bed and flips us back over when it's time for us to wake up, like I do with my husband. Like, use your brain. Use your head for a minute. If the earth was round like a globe, everything would be falling off of it. All the oceans will be dripping down it like ice cream, okay? Unless the earth is a DQ blizzard where nothing falls out. But even then,
a DQ blizzard.
But even then, sometimes things do fall out and they do have to give you your money back. So that doesn't really make sense to me.
That is so funny.
They're trying so hard to make us think the earth is a globe. I see globes on TV, globes at my children's school. I saw a globe at Hobby Lobby, a place of worship. Hobby Lobby. There is a globe there. I mean, if I were a normal person, there would be a globe behind me, but I have a rotary telephone that's not hooked up to anything, so Bill Gates can't track me. Okay? Because I'm using my head.
I love that, dude. That's fantastic. I don't know who she is, but I need to put a link in the description if I can find her. That's just really funny. But you know what's even funnier and disturbing, I guess? This is barely a parody. She is quoting Kandiss Taylor in this video. I have the video.
More and more, I'm like, it doesn't make sense. So is it or not? I don't know 100%, but it's just, it doesn't make sense the other way. Now that you see it.
The people that defend the globe don't know anything about the globe, because if they knew a tenth of what Matt and I know about the globe, they would be flat earthers.
Yeah, we're all globe-tards.
Because it's absolutely ridiculous.
I can't unsee this. All the globes everywhere. I turn on TV, there's globes in the background. There's globes on there right here. Like this would be a globe if I was a normal person. Like,
quote,
everywhere there's globes. You see them all the time. I mean, it's constant. My children will be like, Mama, globe, 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 globe. They're everywhere. And that's what they do to brainwash. And so for me, if it is not a conspiracy, if it is, real, why are you pushing so hard? Everywhere I go, every store, you buy a globe. There's globes everywhere, every movie, every TV show, news media. Why?
Why? I can't get that down. I got to put that on my soundboard. Why? That's just great.
News media. Why?
Anyway, yeah, the point is that that's Kandiss Taylor. She is a ridiculous human being. Her Political ideologies are mutually exclusive. She cannot believe all of these things simultaneously. That she's qualified to run for governor, and also that women should not be involved in government, for example. Or that, like, the church should be involved in the state, but the state shouldn't be involved in the church. Right now is as close as we will ever get to that, without crossing over into no separation. Congressmen are asking pastors what they should file for bills, or like which bills they should vote for, or whatever, or what issues they should focus on. Like Hank Kunneman, for example, is extremely influential among politicians. He knows a ton of politicians. This dude right here. Televangelist, megachurch pastor.
But there is an anointing, a cord of 3 strands, that hell is afraid of, that shall now fall upon the other leaders that shall arise up out of Europe. And God says they will say, why are there so many females that are ruling the nations of the earth?
God will ask why there are so many females? I mean, this is what I'm talking about right here. This is pastors pushing the direction of public policy. If it goes any further, there will be no separation. Is she for real? Is this real? Let me know. That's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. And take a look at my YouTube channels. Owen Morgan, where I talk about religious issues. Telltale Fireside Chat, where I talk about politics. Telltale Unfiltered, where I do long-form breakdowns of stuff like this. And take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.